Beginning of my video. Boom!
Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just
on.
kidding.
Blasphemer!
Hello,
Right. Boring Review Nation!
Kind of pointless.
We know all things. It was over in a snap.
We really want it. Alright, we'll be nice.
Only you can be a Patreon.
Oh my gosh!
Look out.
You don't need to follow the show to be hyped.
All right, welcome back to Boring Land.
Review
Boring
Nation!
Reviews. Nick here.
Gabe.
And we are ready to bring to you another review. We are looking at another Anurag Kashyap film. This one is Ugly. It came out in 2014. It stars, let me look at my list here, Rahul, Bhat, Ronit Roy, Garish Galkarni, Siddharth Kapoor, and many others. I want to make sure that I got, the ones that I was worried. Oh, and Surveen Chawla. Now, I'm sure you recognize her from Gangs of Wassapers. She was younger in this one, but JoJo from Gangs of Wassapers, but Sacred Games, JoJo, she was in this. How do you want to start off this film?
First thing I want to say is I was shocked after our brief conversation on it. Actually, you text me, it was like, bro, you got to watch this movie. I was like, okay. And I know we got tons of requests because it's super dark, okay? And I know that normally you're up for a happier story, you know what I mean? So I was shocked but it was well acted. And I tell you that the biggest thing about this film is that since it's a thriller, the entire time the director does a great job of building suspense. And yeah, it's kind of a whodunit because you're trying to solve the mystery of who did it, but at the same time, you're concerned for our main players, so to speak. And I mean, the in a film that not much happens, and I think that this is when you could say you put together a masterful piece in a film where really, when you think about it, not much happens. Everything happens inside of a week or whatnot, but you can tell an entire story and so much suspense. That's, in my opinion, a great artist. That's a great film. Tarantino is awesome. Again, people don't realize that one of my favorite movies, Reservoir Dogs from Tarantino, takes place like in a 3-hour time span, if that. You know what I'm saying? There's a couple of flashbacks, but again, not much happens. That was a complaint of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I think that's the mastery of these directors that can tell a story and use their dialogue, and they don't need to clutter their film with a whole bunch of things happening. You know what I mean? So, I mean, obviously, I think you can tell which way I'm leaning on this, but I think that's what we need to start is the style of storytelling is very Tarantino-esque in that, again, not a lot of action happens, not a lot of stuff happens, but he does such a great job of building a story around that and building suspense.
There's not a lot of action. You're right on that, but I have to disagree. I think there's a lot that's going on in this film. When I watched this, I texted you, and it's under 2 hours, which I always mention the runtime because when we're watching so many movies that we want to watch, the family wants to watch, Indian films, it's good to have movies that aren't always 3.5 hours.
Right.
But when I texted you halfway through, I mean, I was super excited. This film is easily going into my top 3 Indian films of all time. And it might make it into my top 20 of all time films. This film is a masterpiece, in my opinion. And I'm really ticked off because Rotten Tomatoes, it only has like 12 or 13 reviewers on there for these Indian films. It has like a 60% in Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not sure what these people are thinking. You're telling me 13 people in a room and 5 of them did not agree that it was at least movie. This movie is a masterpiece. Anurag Kashyap, it makes sense. This is 2 films after Gangs of Wassapers. It makes sense that he churns out some great, decent films because he is a master. It's like you take 2 people into a kitchen and they can both be certified chefs, and you give them each about 6 ingredients.
Right.
Have one that you eat their food and it's chewy and it's not tender and it doesn't really taste that good. You taste someone else's and it's just delicious. And you're like, how did you do that? This guy, in my opinion, put on a masterclass in this film. And it hit everything that I'm looking for. It had amazing characterization, dark characters, yes. Disgusting, ugly characters, yes. But we got that in the title. It had character arcs for most of those characters. It showed their true colors. It had amazing writing and amazing dialogue. It had superb acting from all around, across the board, so well to where the guy that you're probably supposed to hate the most, Subik or Suchik, whatever his name is, the cop,
Right.
the guy you're supposed to hate the most, we can say maybe is the antagonist.
Right.
There's times in this film where I was cheering for this guy.
Right.
And I know you like the villain. I don't. And I'm cheering for this guy. Each of these characters, I go back and forth like, okay, I'm rooting for him. Oh, I can't stand him. This film, I can't say enough about it, and I'm jumping right out of the gates with this. This film is unbelievable. This is, in my opinion, this is a better film than Ramin Raghav, and I compare them because it's from the same director.
Right.
They're only about a year away from each other.
Right.
Ramin Raghav is still a great film, but this movie gave me a little more of what I did not get in Ramin Raghav. Two different films, but I don't want to go on to this because I feel like that, extends our review. But I have no problem with us talking about some of our favorite parts and certain things that support how we feel about. So I'm going to start off. This film is all about a kidnapping. Let's just say it.
Yeah.
Little girl who was played wonderfully by that young actress. She did a great job. She had a lot of attitude. She was not happy in the position she was in. She couldn't wait for her dad to call. And then when he calls, she just doesn't want to give him any attention. And being teachers, as we are, elementary school age students, 100% of the time, that is so accurate. And she gets kidnapped, which is a tough thing for parents to watch as a movie. And the father right away split up, divorced family. The father wants to be this actor. He's with his friend getting a script, trying to audition. He wants to be the hero. He doesn't want a minor part. He wants the hero part. And his friend comes up the stairs and right away says, "Why isn't your daughter in the car?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And it's on the word go. They're looking for it. And that's where the movie starts. And this is like the first 5 seconds of the movie, or 5 minutes or whatever. But the thing I liked about it was just how these actors, like right away, he was able to play calm and collected, even though he knew what the line was coming. And then he's told by the other character, "Where's your daughter at?" And he just jumped. "What are you talking about? She's fine." He goes out the window. "Oh, she's not there." Comes back. You see that creepy guy with the mask or whatever messing around with her when she's in the car. And it builds that suspense right away. And with a great title like Ugly, it makes you wonder, okay, is it ugly that this is a crime that's happening? Is it ugly that someone abducted a child? Or is it more deep than that? And as you watch this movie is incredible. I love it.
Well, I think that what he did here, just like Ramin Raghav 2.0, is that there are no real protagonists, okay? Everybody's flawed. He shows you the real ugly side of human life where, we're all flawed. We all have our own motivations. The police officer, is he a corrupt officer? I mean, he uses some rough tactics, but he's trying to do his job. And ultimately, he has some personal bias against the actor because it's his wife's, a former husband. And obviously he's not investigating this thing the way he should, because immediately he goes to put the blame on the husband and, the people in his circle, and doesn't investigate anything else for the most part. Doesn't really, he hones in, but it's because of his bias, and you can tell. And again, you've got the actors. You even got the mom who is also looking out for her best interest, and she does some stuff that you're like, wow, that's ugly. That's the only thing I can think of. This is not what you should be thinking about right now, but it is. And it's just to show us how we're all flawed and we're all and anybody that sits there and say, "Oh yeah, I'm not selfish or I'm not flawed," absolutely not. Stop it. We all are. You know what I mean? If you're the person thinking you're not, then that's your flaw. Okay, you can't see it, but he does a masterful job of, like you said, who do I root for? Okay, you're rooting for the little girl, really. That's all you're rooting for. You want her to be found, okay? But everybody in this is so ugly. And we're talking about that from a spiritual, from their character. They're just ugly and vile people, because whether their main focus should be this little girl, it's their, "Oh, this is my ex-wife's husband." It's, "Oh, this is this cop who, is my ex-wife's current husband, who thinks he's a super cop, and the wife, she's worried about how the new husband treats her. There, at the very beginning of the movie, you've seen before the little girl even gets abducted, that she puts a gun in her mouth. She's getting ready to blow her brains out because she's unhappy with her life and how this police officer husband of hers treats her. So I mean, all the players, all the main characters in this film are ugly. That's what I got out of the title, and the director did a masterful job showing that.
Yeah, no, when you're talking about these different characters, I mean, I'm honestly almost getting chills over here because these characters were acted so well, were written so well, and directed so well. I mean, this movie from start to end, I didn't have one moment where I was bored or I wanted to get up to go to the bathroom or anything. I mean, it's unbelievable how well this film is done. So you have this entire thing. They're trying to find this girl, and the super cop, Shomik, whatever his name is, he's very insecure, and so he shows on the outside how powerful he is. And I love that they built up that characterization with that character. They take you to the back to when they're in college, and he's got that annoying little Valentine line, "I love you so much." He's all nerdy, and he's trying to get the attention of the mom of this little girl when she was dating the dad of the little girl when they were in college. The dad was this big old tough guy, and how he beats him up because he's messing with his girl. And then you have the roles reversed, where it reminded me almost like a Biff Tannen from Back to the Future, where he marries the mom in the second one, and he's been waiting for that forever, and he treats her horribly. I did not understand their relationship for the entire movie, the cop and the mom, until the very end, when she exposes him and she's like, "This was all you getting back at us. That's why you married me. That's why you treat me like crap." But like you said, these are real people that were inspired for these characters. And the whole time I'm watching this film, I'm like, okay, I think, I think it's got to be the friend. Obviously, it's got to be the friend. He's doing those ransom calls. It's got to be him. Oh, maybe it's the dad. He's kind of sketchy. Maybe it's the JoJo character. I think her name was Rocky in this film.
Yeah,
maybe it's the mom. I mean, I never thought it was a super cop, but it wouldn't put it past me for him to teach the mom a lesson. See, that's why you're not a good mom, because you can't take. I mean, it could have been anybody. And I'm going to jump right to the spoiler right now. We find out at the end of the film that it was the guy with selling the masks. We see at the very beginning, the most logical choice. It was him the whole time. He had kidnapped her, stowed her away. I'm not sure why she didn't run away when he left. I'm not sure if he drugged her or what happened to where she was just there and she was stuck. I'm not sure if she was tied down or what it was, because we see her dead in a baby carriage.
Dark.
Right? I don't know. She's the
like
kind of girl that would fight back. She's the kind of girl that would run away. It looks like he took her, he stashed her, he went back. I'm not sure why he went back. And we see the whole thing with the cell phone he's got in the pocket, and the friend's chasing after him. He gets run over and he dies. So no one goes back to her. I'm not sure what happened to her, but I don't really care. The most amazing thing was at the very end was that line, and that was just the most chilling line when the cop's assistant says, "We could have saved her. She was here. It was him the entire time. We could have saved her, but you guys," she didn't say this, but you guys were so focused on your own issues and trying to one up the next person and try to prove the next person that you're better and that you're more devious. And she ended up dying because of it. And that, even though a happy ending, and I do love a happy ending, I accepted this ending 100% because that was the message. They were all so messed up and they were so selfish, like you said, that it ended up causing this little girl to die when she didn't need to.
And I think what they did mention, that she had been knocked out or she had passed out or whatnot. Maybe he, chloroformed her or drugged her or whatever, but she was bound. And I thought it was like the side of one of those 2-seater motorcycles. I thought that's what it was, not a baby carriage.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Sidecar. Yeah.
A sidecar, right. So, but the thing about that scene, it reminded me of something that was said in the Tiger King, where there's like all this money has been spent, all these thousands and thousands of man hours, millions of dollars suing people back in court, and it didn't help one tiger. Okay, same thing here. All this had happened, ransom, police, massive police force. Think about the man hours that were spent trying to find her, when literally within, I would say, what, 30 minutes of the kidnapping, they had run into the prime suspect, okay? And since the guy had died, they went to the grandmother and they went and investigated her. If they had just pressed a little bit more, they would have found her. And like you said, we could have saved her. But all the bickering, all the one-upmanship, and ultimately nobody won. At the end, who really won here? Okay, the child unfortunately is passed. All right, she's died. Which that's why when you said you love this movie, I know you don't like really dark endings like that, but it was such a powerful statement, and I agree. I thought that it was an amazing statement.
When a film is a well-made film, I can see past my own personal what I want this or that, and I was hurting at the end of that movie. But when it's a real film, I mean, even I can't lower it down because it didn't end the way I wanted to. I mean, honestly, if I was teaching a class in film school, I'm being 100% honest, this might be one of the 3 or 4 films I would include in that film class of how you tell a story, how you make a movie.
And I think, again, this director is really good at showing us that, mirror, putting up that mirror and that social commentary that, listen, we can all be this ugly. Everyone has been this ugly at some point in their life. Luckily, it may not lead to this type of tragedy, but we've all been selfish when we shouldn't have been. We've all had personal biases. Okay. John Campia said something amazing on his show the other day. He was talking about Ezra Miller and how he's pretty much done as a Flash because of the incident that happened. But he said, thank God that we're not all judged on our worst moment. We may not be judged on our best moment, but we're not all judged on our worst moment. Because if we had cameras rolling 24/7 like these celebrities, they're gonna probably catch some ugly stuff. Okay, something we said that we really didn't mean. Something we did we didn't really mean. Whether it's running a red light or you know what I'm saying, downloading an illegal movie because I can't find it anywhere. No, I'm joking. But you know what I mean, like. We all make mistakes and no one is perfect and we all have the ability to be petty. It's part of human nature. And that's why I love this director. He shows that so well and really gets it to the point where you mentioned it yourself. There was nobody to root for in this film. It's more of a cautionary tale of what will happen if we're left to our own devices and we let our personal biases and our personal jealousies and really short-sightedness, our pettiness, get the best of us. And can I say what the most disgusting, the most ugly thing in this film was? I'm a father, so are you, okay? We love our children, but we didn't carry those children for 9 months. So we don't have that bond that a mother should have with their child. Okay. All mothers have that bond. I will never claim to know the bond that my wife has with our children. Okay. I love them to death, but I know she carried them for 9 months. But in the midst of all this going on, the wife, in order, ups the ransom from what it should be because she's getting it from her dad. So and then she takes the rest of the money for herself. And when she's confronted by the super cop, right? She says to buy me all the stuff that you won't buy me. That's where your mind is at right now at this moment when your daughter is missing. That's the ugliest thing anyone in this film did. The ugliest thing.
Okay.
And
there was that real quick. There was that, but the second thing that was equally as ugly, and I understand what you're saying with the mom and the bond with the child, equally as ugly is we don't even find out what happens to the girl until the very end, until after the dad takes that $5 million, which when it's transfer or whatever that word is translated into American dollars, it's not 5 million American dollars. If it's 5 million rupees, it's about $70,000 or something like that. When he gets that 5 million, he gets away with it and he calls up the cop and he's all smiling. And he's like, I got you, sucker. He doesn't care about his daughter. He cares more about showing up this guy who showed him up, who beat him up earlier. You got both parents who don't care. And I think if there's any flaw with this director, I think that he focuses so much on the dark side of each person. And everyone has a dark, but so much on the dark side that maybe sometimes he's not able to focus on the humanity. And I get it. He can create any character he wants to tell his story. But everything that I've seen, Gangs of Wasseypur, Sacred Games, Raman Raghav, it's the darkest of these people's character. There's really not too many redeeming qualities of these people, but he does it so well.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess when all you got to do is look at some of the real darkness and ugliness. Maybe he's had some personal experiences that has given him this jaded, you know what I mean, point of view. But does he need to even have a personal experience? I mean, they've got the show that I can't even bring myself to watch on Netflix about the little boy that was kidnapped. Well, I can't remember the name of it, and no one wants to watch it because it's so traumatizing. Everybody has watched it said, "Man, I wish I wouldn't have watched that." I can't remember the name of it right now. The kidnapping of you know what? We'll have to look it up. But in any event, my point is that he doesn't need to have anything personally happen to him, you know, for source material. Everyday life is source material. Everyday life. I just read an article that during right now, the lockdown and the quarantine, everything we're going through, there was a home, even though most crime is down, there was a home invasion. And luckily enough, the homeowner was armed and did what he had to do. But like, that's the kind of stories you see it, people fighting over toilet paper. And you know, I mean, unfortunately, real life is ugly. And I understand what you're saying, that it seems like he just focuses on that. But it's like he's holding up a mirror to society and saying, guys, this is who you are. Okay, this is
No, I
who
get it, but if you think about it, not too many of his characters are like, you know, positive people or whatever, besides maybe the guru. I wanna give a little bit of props to a bunch of these actors. So Ronit Roy played the super cop. He did a fantastic job playing that man with a chip on his shoulder, super strong character. Rahul Bhat played the father. He was also in we just recently talked about. He was in Section 375 as the creep director. He did a much better job, I felt, in this movie than in that movie. He had more to work with. Teja Sweeney played the mom. She was fantastic. She was so creepy. But one I was really impressed with was Girish Kulkarni. He played the inspector. He's Bombsol from Sacred Games. I thought that every scene he was in, and he has a similar attitude and personality as he does in Sacred Games. I felt like every scene he was in, he stole the scene. I don't know what it was, but I was so in tune and so connected to what he was doing because he was so easily able to play that like over cocky, over almost annoying. That whole scene when he's interrogating the two gentlemen after the kidnapping, and he's taking it so lightly, and he's take my picture so you can show me a calling thing where my picture pops up. That was hysterical. That was so awesome. And he did such a good job in that. He initially started the investigation looking at the mask maker and his aunt. And then it wasn't until Super Cop came in and said, no, I know it was the dad. All your attention goes there. And he tells the dad, when my boss tells me you're guilty, I have to listen to my boss, right? He was actually a good inspector going down the conventional line. And this is the whole thing of the entire movie. If these people got out of their own way, they would have found that girl. I mentioned that earlier. But the thing that's amazing, like you mentioned how the mom wanted to ask for $1.5 million more so that she can keep that to the side. You got all these people scheming. As soon as the friend, and the guy who played him did an excellent job too. His name was Vineet Kumar Singh. He did a great job who played his friend. As soon as he got humiliated by the super cop, what did he do? He looked for a way not just to cash in, but it was more to get back at him because who did he keep telling his friend, the father, to get the money from? He kept saying, ask Bose. Why being so afraid? Ask Bose. He said, we can rob this or do that, but he wanted to get it from Bose. Why? Because he wanted back at him for how he treated him and how he beat him up. All these people are trying to get their own gain. As soon as JoJo gets I keep calling her JoJo, gets the money from her friend, what does she do? She pieces out and she leaves her husband who she can't stand being around anymore. You got the dad who's shacking up with JoJo's character because, all of this connected. And you're talking about the mom being a horrible mom. How about when the friend comes over in that flashback to the house and right before they hook up, she gives her daughter some drugs so she'll drug her out so that she doesn't interrupt her time as she spends time with the friend. This woman is not supposed to be a mom whatsoever.
No, she's not a good person.
Bananas.
And again, the title of the movie is so fitting, Ugly, because it really just shows you the ugliness. And again, thank God that we're not all judged on our worst moments because we've all made mistakes. Not as much as these characters, obviously. Not even close, but still, you know what I mean?
Yes.
The actual Netflix documentary I was talking about is The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. And bro, I refuse to watch it. I have kids. I refuse to watch it. But so many people are buzzing about it and talking about it. But that's just the ugliness in life, man. The reality of life, man. And it's really a really good job by this director to not necessarily intentionally villainize everybody, but just anyone in particular, but to villainize all of them, but just showing that, hey, this is what their personal motivation is. They were wronged here, they were wronged here, they were wronged there, whatever their slight may be, because then you can also see why they all fell into that trap. The mom, okay, she messed up or whatever. She got beat because of the whole her indiscretion with the friend or whatnot. But here comes Super Cop in her life, thinking that she's thinking, oh, he's rescuing me. No, he does it just to get back. And she says, you ever seen when you're eating and I'm just sitting there looking at you, starving, because I'm just wishing that you leave like a morsel for me to eat? Like, when you see, that's so much mental abuse there. You saw in the beginning, she was ready to end it. She put his gun in her mouth. She was ready to end it. So you could see where her motivations come from. Not that it justifies what she did, especially when it comes to her daughter, but you see where her motivations come. You can see where the motivation from the friend of the actor comes, the producer guy. Well, first of all, he's indebted. Okay, so he owes people a lot of money. Second of all, he was humiliated, like you said. So, hey, why not? Why am I not going to go ahead and they think I did it anyway? Let me get this money, pay my debts down or whatever. You see where everyone's motivation comes. The Super Cop, okay, he knows that the wife we're talking about doesn't love him. Okay, he just literally got married out of spite. Okay, so he is trying to prove that I cannot remember the actor's name.
Kapoor.
Yeah, Kapoor's a character is a bad, Rahul is a bad person, but ultimately, you know what I mean? Think about it. That was you saw how far back their relationship goes. You know what I'm saying? So he was in love with this girl, and she chose him, Rahul, over him. So of course he's gonna feel some. They all have those motivations. Does it justify what anyone did? No. And I think one of the craziest thing is he didn't explore at all why the killer did what he did. Okay, his grandmother was a kidnapper, so obviously he got into kidnapping, and it was probably to sell her into like the child trade, a slave trade or whatnot. But he didn't explore their motivations whatsoever. Like, no, those are just criminals. Criminals are criminals. They do what they do. They saw an opportunity and they went for it. That was not explored at all. What was explored was everyone else. And I thought that was very interesting to me. You know what I mean? Just like,
and there was a fitting line where he's talking to someone, the Super Cop is, and he said, we have found 8 missing children as we've been trying to find Kali, but we can't find her. And once again, she's right. It looks like she was right behind the marketplace, wherever this guy stashed her. If he would have been half the cop he usually is, he would have found her no problem. But he was just so convinced it was them. I don't know why, but I liked the dad's character a lot. I'm not sure why. He was a disgusting person, but Rahul, because he knew exactly who he was. When he's arguing with his wife when they were still married, she's like, you're stupid and you're worthless. He's like, yes, you're right. I am. I'm trying to be a big time actor. I'm not able to do other things. I'm not a good husband. I'm not a provider. I'm not going to get a job. I don't want to get a job. And when they're in their little tiny apartment and they have no food, what does he have behind him while he's arguing with his wife? 2 giant things of protein. I mean, this guy is all about getting that body in shape so he can get that role.
He wants to be a hero, a hero actor.
But the thing that was admirable about the friend too, a redeeming quality about him, was he was faking this ransom so he can get this money, but he's such a good friend. He cares about his friend so much that he's still willing to go with him to get the money that he's eventually going to get for himself. So, I mean, I thought that was really interesting. This movie is fantastic. I really can't say much more about it than what I've already said. I thought it was just done so well. Like you said, it was a mirror on society. It was just, come on, let's use the most logical explanation. Who would have taken this girl? Let's get out of our own way. I'm ready to give it a grade. I'm not sure if you are.
I am indeed.
All right.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I'm going to give it an A+. I know you're so surprised. And I'm telling you, if Ranveer Singh was in this movie for just a 5-second appearance, this might be higher on my list than Gully Boy. But I mean, it's neck and neck. I absolutely love this movie.
You know what? I really love this movie as well. I'm going to give it an A. I think I'm going to give it an A. What keeps it, And the only thing that keeps it from being an A plus, okay, there were great performances. But when you were talking about earlier, Ramin Ragva 2.0, okay, Nawaz put on an unbelievable performance there, and so did the other guy. And I know that the movie basically focused on them too. And here there were so many other people it focused on, but you need that over the top, unbelievable performance to be an A plus. Okay, for me, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, obviously you had those Oscar worthy performances by both Brad Pitt and DiCaprio. The Dark Knight, not Dark Knight Begins, but the Dark Knight,
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight, the second one, right? You have Heath Ledger's performance, which is over the top, unbelievable, Oscar worthy, won the Oscar. That's what keeps it from being an A plus. I would agree with you. This is a better thought out film than Ramin Ragwa 2.0, but Nawaz's performance there is so unbelievable that, to me, I still prefer that movie. I don't know if it makes if that makes you, but
no, that makes perfect sense, and I respect that. And I like that you put that into consideration. That's a good point. A plus is definitely pristine territory, and both Vicky Kaushal and Nawaz give better performances in that movie than anyone in this movie. But you're talking about at least 5 characters: Super Cop, mom, dad, friend, and the JoJo character. At least 5 characters in this movie that give superb performances for what they were given. And those 5 combined make enough for a powerful performance. And I got to give the best performance in this movie from someone who didn't even see it all, and that's the director. Holy cow. So I respect your grade, and I love it. So for the most part, we agree. Let us know what you think. Let us know if we are just crazy and we're just gushing about a movie that's just okay. Let us know if you agree with Rotten Tomatoes and giving it a 60%. How dare you?
Crazy.
Or let us know on the Anurag Kashyap films that you've seen that we've reviewed, what would be your list? For me, I'm going to go real quick. Obviously, Gangs of Wasseypur is not going to be touched, but you got Gangs of Wasseypur, you got Ugly, then you got Robin Roghoff, and then I would put Sacred Games below that, even though it's not a film, that's just a show.
Right. Yeah, for me, probably Gangs of Wasseypur. Ramin Ragwa 2.0. I still gotta put it up there, man. That performance is just so unhinged, brother. It's creepy, cringe worthy. And whew, I remember Savannah was watching our reaction when the guy when he's walking down the hallway with the motorcycle helmet and his dad, dude. She was like, that freaked her out. She's like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch this. It's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a performance of a lifetime. So for me, that's still 2. And then I would follow it up with, of course, Ugly. This movie is really well thought out. It's such a cerebral movie that really makes you think about your own pettiness and your own shortcomings as a person. And I think that's what makes this a masterpiece. Where, guys, yeah, these people aren't criminals like the actual criminals that committed the crime, but their callousness, their characters, their ugliness led to her death. So they're just as guilty as she is. And some of us might act that way from time to time. Because I'll admit it, I've had jealousy before and pettiness in my time. How could I not have? You know what I mean? That's just a human emotion. So I think that it's like I said, this director is really, really good at just saying, this is us, this is society. These are our flaws, man. So A. I want to give it an A plus, but it's still missing that over the top performance. But anyway, that's
you. You gotta be you. You gotta do you. That's great. I know a lot of people are saying. I thought you just said this might be one of the best Indian films you've ever seen, and then you say Gangs of Wasseypur is untouchable. First of all, I forgot about Gangs of Wasseypur for a second. Second of all, Gangs of Wasseypur is a longer film, but I would say that's still better than Ugly. So thanks for watching our review. We tried a little lower than the last few. We did like 5 minutes or so, but. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed our conversation, our review. Don't forget to let us know what you think we should be reviewing next time. And until next time,
we know all things.